are back. I know you've all been waiting with bated breath. You took some time to review the entire first season, all 8 episodes of Dipped with Sweet and Hot, and you've been waiting.
And because we knew that you were doing that, we said we shouldn't leave the people hanging for too long.
We should, not for too long.
Not for too long.
Yeah.
So we back.
We back.
For season 2.
Yes, friend.
Dipped with Sweet and Hot.
Yes.
I'm Melanie Lauren.
And I'm Holly Chanel.
And that's the name of the podcast.
Yes.
You already know what it is.
All right now. So, last season, we focused on adulting. Like, I think that, you and I were going through life. And it was lifing.
And we weren't the only ones, because people really connected with it. We got all the feedback.
Listen, and we heard you, okay? And we thank you. So make sure you continue to follow us on @Dipped with Sweet and Hot, all spelled out on all of the platforms. Every last one of them. If you got it, we
on there.
We on there, all right? So, we focused on adulting last season. So what's the theme for this season?
I'm excited again. I said that I know at the end of the season finale, but I'm excited about this one too.
Okay.
I mean, I just like doing this. But we are going to talk about Black love. Now, wait a minute. Before you assume that you know what I mean when I say Black love, let me just open up your mind just a little bit.
Okay.
When I say Black love, I'm not necessarily talking about Black romantic love.
Oh, okay.
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 I am talking about love that gets lived out in Black people's lives in different ways. So we can be
Come on and dig deeper.
We can be talking about self-love.
Yes.
We can be talking about love between parent and child.
Ooh.
We can be talking about love between siblings, between friends. We are just exploring love as it is experienced by Black people in different ways. And so everything that we're going to talk about this season is going to connect back to that. And I just got to tell you already, you went for a good season once again.
And I love that for us as a Black woman.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And we made some promises at the end of episode, 8? Our season finale.
Yeah, we did.
We had some very well-spoken, very entertaining, very insightful brothers in our company for our season finale. And we promised you all that they would be back
For part
season
2. Yeah, for part
and
2.
We cannot tell a lie.
We do not tell a lie.
We wouldn't dare tell a lie. We mean what we say here at Dipped with Sweet and Hot. So they are here. So everybody, let's give a warm welcome once again to Mr. Lorenzo Rush, Mr. Olamiji Jones, and what's Manny's last name?
Johnson.
Manny Johnson. Yes.
The second.
Manny Johnson the second. We are proper. We will introduce you properly. Manny Johnson the second. Thank you so much for being here.
So nice they had to do it twice.
Yeah. They had a good time. We had a good time with them. We got into a lot of topics. We're gonna continue a little bit, and then we're gonna have some fun. Oh, we got listen.
That's in the eye of the beholder. You say fun. I don't know. I'm nervous.
She got scared.
I'm scared.
So here's the thing. She told y'all that a lot of the shenanigans that we get into are actually my idea.
100%.
And people are surprised to learn that when they first meet us because of our effect. They think that she's the spicy one. She's the feisty one. And she is. Don't let her make you think that she's not.
What?
But what I have to say is that we share that. And there are times...
Sounds like lack of accountability to me.
There are times... I can take responsibility. There are times when we have gotten into things many times. Most times. I'm coming around to the full truth. Most times that we have gotten into some things.
98% of the time.
It was me.
Yes.
And I had yet another creative idea that's going to put us on the hot seat. I'm going to take responsibility right now for the fact that if this doesn't go well, I did it.
Okay, fair.
Okay? It was my fault. But
I appreciate your accountability.
We're going to let these men, and they haven't told us in advance, we're going to let them ask us anything that they want to ask us.
And we have to be honest.
About anything right here as we are rolling and recording.
And I do not like the look on their faces right now.
Because everybody is digging deep. They thinking hard. They like, we finna make this count.
Melanie,
So Miji already said this is about to get real interesting real fast.
Okay, so okay.
But before we get there,
let's warm up first. Let's warm up. You
Okay.
gotta just don't go full throttle
Right,
out
let's
the
ease
gate.
back.
Just gotta ease back a little bit. So last episode at the season finality.
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 It really ended.
It was over. No, at the season finale.
We ain't coming back.
we got your opinion on some of the topics that we discussed in season 1. But, because we are 2 Black women and we love our accolades.
Fair enough.
I would like to do a round robin of a Black woman that you would like to personally celebrate. Take our platform, as small as it currently may be, and growing. Yeah, thank you for the correct pitch and key.
That's okay. I got you.
Thank you. Let's go round robin and give somebody their flowers, a Black woman that you would love.
And let me jump in because listen, I'm an ally.
Yes.
Okay. I'm an ally. So let me explain to the people that we gave you the qualification that this person that you are going to shout out is not someone that you are romantically linked to.
Yeah, we don't start drama here at Dipped with Sweet.
We don't. That's not our mission.
Yeah.
We want things to be cool.
Yeah.
So, not someone that no girlfriends, no wives. We love you, girlfriends and wives. We appreciate you.
Whoever you may be or think you may be.
Damn.
Oh my God.
We respect you, and thank you for your contribution to these men's lives.
Yeah.
But we specifically asked them to shout out somebody to whom they were not romantically linked. So, that being that, who y'all got for us, fellas?
We started to the left.
Last time, we gonna start to the right this time.
Come on,
Mr. Johnson.
Manny J.
I'm gonna have to say my older sister.
Ooh.
And she taught me a lot of things, right? Like the opposite of what I thought I was supposed to be doing. I'm trying to focus on all this career, or we talk about dating, and I'd be like, oh, well, she did this, she did that. She like, okay, that's the resume, but who is she as a person?
Oh.
Right? And one of her favorite lines is, she would walk into a party, or maybe she'd be doing too much, and she'd be like, if there's a problem, take me off the MF and guest list.
I love it.
It's my favorite line, right? But when you think about it, it's like, yo, every room ain't for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be cautious of the rooms I'm invited in, or who invite me into these rooms, because one of the things she taught me was, when you on, she got to be on. She's a parent, she works, whatever. But when she's off, right? So if I gotta go into a space and I gotta be on, I'm gonna be on. But I ain't. You gotta be paying, or you gotta have some.
It's gotta have some payoff.
If not, I gotta be in spaces where I can be off, where I can be my authentic self.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, take me off the guest list. Like
if I can't be me,
turn down for what, right? For who, right? But if I can't be me, I don't need to be there. So take me off the guest list. So
now,
shout out to my sister.
Does your sister have to stay anonymous, or can you give a nickname so that she knows that you talking to her?
Oh, she knows.
She knows. She
Okay,
knows. All right,
good,
fair enough.
good.
Fair enough. Here at Dipped with Sweet and Hot, we protect anonymity.
Anonymity.
Thank you.
That's what she was trying to say.
Anonymity.
Education.
If you remember,
shots fired.
If you remember from last season, Melanie is still up to her usual shenanigans and has mixed a cocktail for our season opener.
Blame it on the alcohol.
Also,
That's what's happening.
mine is very empty.
Do you need a refill?
So is mine.
You get to clink the bottles.
Clank, clank, clank.
Oh no, we can't do that one.
Do you need a refill?
No
sir?
copyright infringement.
You got way too many lawsuits. We ain't worried about this podcast.
Never mind.
All right, Miji, who you got?
So I'm not saying names just because this person tends to be more private.
Fair.
But they'll know who they are. They've shown up for me more times than not in the last 2 to 3 years. From the times I was living out in Seattle, moved out to the Bay, and then even came home. And and that really kind of challenged me to reprioritize what's important to me, because for the longest time my identity was defined by either the job that I held or like how much money I was making. Yet I was still missing something, right? I wasn't happy. And so they were able to challenge me in a way that allowed me to actually receive it, which is difficult because I just don't like being told what to do.
Oh, trust me, I know.
Yeah, so shout out to them.
We know.
They know who they are. That's it.
Oh, that's sweet.
Appreciate it.
Sorry,
I love this. We giving these black women their flowers.
Yeah.
I love it. Come on,
Mr. Rush.
I'll shout out my sister as well. Her name is Sierra. And the reason I want to shout out my sister is because, you know, she's my older sister and she is one of the smartest women that I know. And she has a resiliency that is unmatched by any person that I've ever met on this earth. She's the smartest person I know. She's just, every time I think I got one up on her, she always hits me with something new. But being able to see her also as a mother was another thing. Unfortunately, her oldest son, my nephew Carter, unfortunately passed away of a very rare condition. And seeing her kind of fight through that as a mother, but still maintain her faith, was very like, okay, something is up. Which, like, the fact that she was able to, and me being a parent myself, I don't know how she did that. I don't know. I still to this day don't know how she was able to go through all of that, but still keep her faith still up. You know, when we were all around her falling apart, she uplifting all of us, and she like, wait, whose son just died? And so, and still to this day, she is just an amazing woman, an amazing mother, and genuinely one of my best friends. So love you, sis.
Oh,
that's so nice.
Life hack, especially for black men, older sisters,
man, they'll give it to you straight.
Well, on behalf of competent and capable little sisters,
right,
everywhere.
Well, sisters in general, but
but no, her.
I've been more of a little sister. This is an
off-the-record story, but it's gonna be on the record.
We're recording, right?
My sister pulled me to the side. I hadn't talked to her in a little while, and right after my daughter's born, right, and pulled me to the side. My daughter's in there, my child's mother, and she was like, "You ain't got to take off no woman. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Like,
you can cuss on the podcast. That's fine.
You ain't got to take shit off no woman. You take care of your daughter, but you ain't got right.
Come on, big sister, preach the word.
Well, this is a beautiful moment. I mean, my niece, blah 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 blah. But understand this, right? So shout out to big sisters.
Because to your point, my sister has definitely done that with my child's mother, in the sense of like, but she'll be in one room talking with my child's mother and just being like, you know, oh my God, that's great. Y'all is so wonderful. And then she'll call me later that night and be like, man, F her, man. She don't know what she's talking about. You don't need to deal with that. She did it. And I'm like, wow. And then when they hear this, they finna be like fighting amongst each other. But that ain't my business. But,
he said, I start fires. I don't put them out.
Definitely got your back.
Oh, Melanie, don't that sound familiar? Because, baby, my big brother over the years, I love my big brother. And the baby mama drama that, you know, sometimes ensues. And he'll call me. I'd be like, hey, Auntie Holly to the rescue. Say less.
And then she calls me and says, guess what the...
What are best friends for?
Hey, I play my position.
Okay, I appreciate you. I love you. I love you so much.
Yeah.
But thank you, and shout out to the big sisters. Shout out to the friends who hold you all down.
Yeah.
So, during the season finale, we kind of got deep and talked about how people don't ask black men how they're doing and, you know, sit and wait for the response and want to know the response. So, in that same vein, what would you like people to know or realize or take more seriously about you as an individual or about black men in general? Like, what would you like
The world to know.
the world to know.
Yeah.
That, you know, maybe misconceptions or stereotypes that are just that, you know, either have no basis or are outdated, right? Or maybe have evolved in some way. But what would you like people to know that they've never thought about, that they wouldn't ascribe to the black male experience or to your experience as you move about in the world? Oh.
They're thinking.
I got something.
Okay, go ahead, Manny J.
That's a lot.
So this is an example I use all the time, right? Especially with black women.
And if you hear some clinking, Melanie is still mixing drinks.
Listen,
Go ahead.
I just
You gotta come up with a name
listen.
for this business.
You gotta. We'll work on it. We'll work on it.
Podcasting
But
and beverages.
You gotta tell the full. I'm filling orders now. Am I not?
You are.
I'm taking requests. I'm not doing this.
Mix it on the mic.
I like it.
I like this.
Something like that.
Trademark. Okay, anyway, you were saying, Manny.
So anytime, like from young women, older women my age, just ask women, you get to hit me. Just hit me. In my arm, just hit me. The first thing they're gonna do is rear back as far as they can. Right? Because, and I interpret that as this. You think that you gotta put all your power into making me hurt. Right? You gotta do, like, oh, you get a chance to hit me, I'm finna hit you because this is what I gotta do to make you feel pain. So black men hurt. Black men feel pain.
I love that.
You ain't gotta swing hard as you can to make us feel pain. We do, right? I don't emote in the same way, right? Like I get on, like people. I just don't. I don't want to emote, especially if you're trying to get an emotion out of me. I physically can't give it to you because I mentally know what that is.
Right.
So yeah, we hurt. It don't look like that. We may not cry. We may not, you know, sometimes it look like anger, but black men hurt, and you ain't got to swing hard to make us hurt.
Oof.
And what I would like to say too is that anger, you know, hearing you say that, anger is a secondary emotion. Like that's one thing that we learned. Lorenzo and I are both actors, and one thing that we learned about like tapping into human emotion and being able to portray it and duplicate it time and time again when we're working on characters is that when we say anger is a secondary emotion, what we're talking about is that there's always something underneath the anger. Anger is like how it's presenting, but what's underneath that is generally some sort of wound or hurt. Like you
Just say
said,
that one time, just very clear. Anger is a secondary.
anger is a secondary emotion. The primary emotion underneath it is usually hurt.
Pain, yeah.
Yeah, and pain.
Disappointment.
Yeah.
But
you about to
mean
the name of this episode.
I wasn't gonna say anything. Like that was. I got a little chills going. My man got me a little emotional over here. So no, I second what he just said.
Okay. All right.
And I third everything he just said because I also agree that something that I feel like women, especially black women, don't understand about a black man is that we just don't see things the way you see them, and God made us that way. And we don't see things the way you see them as black women, because God made you that way. And that's when we come together, we can do damage. But the thing is, it's always we don't learn how to navigate how we think about things. So the black man becomes the problem, and becomes the issue.
Or I would say we become the issue for each other.
Yeah. And black men, because we are strong, and because society and culture at some point have taught us that expressing your feelings and things like that is a weakness, so we don't. But there's so much pain. When I get together with my brother's friends and we kick it and we drink it and we having a good time, some of the stories that I hear from my brothers about what they're going through will break your soul. And I have some of the strongest and the hardest men walking down the street. I have held them up crying, weak, because, we are human too. We cry, we have pain, we go through things. And the stress of And the stress of being a man is something that women will never have to understand. Also, what men will never understand is what women have to go through. I'll never know what it's like to bear a child or carry a child or do this. I will never know what that's like. But women, you will never know the burden that God placed when you were born into a male body. God put something on us as men that to carry the burden, to carry the weight. And my younger nephew, who's like, I think he's like 18 or 19, well, maybe he's 20, I don't know. But he was just like, I just, man, it's just life out here, man. And he's trying to do it right. And I was telling him, like, man, listen, if life feels heavy, you're doing it right. If life feels heavy and it feels like you're carrying the work, you're doing it right, because that was the burden we were made to carry. But then the empathy doesn't come through from our women of how to be our peace and be our support, to be able to hold all of this up, be my peace, be my support. And so I feel like I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but that there's a burden that a lot of people don't really understand that black men carry as a whole. And you can see it in when black men abdicate their roles in society. When we abdicate our roles in the family unit, when we abdicate our roles in the community as a whole, if you go back to, to the 50s and 60s and beyond, black men were the center of our communities.
100%.
We held it up. The
Absolutely.
preachers, the construction workers, the engineer, we were
The tradesmen.
holding we were holding our communities together, and we were the center of the black family. And when we abdicated that role and we left that role, you can see the breakdown that came from that. So, yeah, just that burden.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We might have to get a historian on here.
Small piece. A mentor of mine told me, the older a man gets, right, this is a black man, the more and more they seek out peace. Right? They look for peaceful situations, right? That's why, like, I love when I was old enough to get into a lounge.
Right, because the club was too chaotic.
Tumultuous, right?
Yeah.
Just good music, cheap drinks, people just in there having
Just
a good
vibing,
time,
yeah.
right? Like, people, black men, the older we get, we seek out peace.
Amen. Because even, I'm going to take it a step further and say household, but then even within professional careers, because that duality is another level of stress. I'm not saying women don't have it. Women have it as well, right? But at least in my experiences, it's expected of me to be the breadwinner, the provider, the protector, to be able to navigate that at work, come home, brush it all off, no matter what I was dealing with, handle everything there, right? And it's just, what's that saying? Like, just because you wear the crown well doesn't mean it ain't heavy.
Man, listen.
And I think that's, I think that's really what it boils down to. It's just like, you feel like, at least I do, feel like there's so much pressure on you to be at the top of your game at all times that you're not allowed to show any chinks. You're not allowed to break down, right? Like, you can't be wrong on anything. And that just weighs on you because you're only human. You're going to make mistakes. Everybody's just got to be respectful and understanding that I'm not going to be at the top of the game all the time. And, like, that's where a partner comes in to be able to either
create that safe space,
right,
to be able to release.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of men don't have that in relationships, in society as a whole, to be able to find a place where I can release and be vulnerable. There's no place for that. And you would think that it's in your relationship, but even there, it's not, because women don't create that safe space to be like, it's okay, you can cry, you can be vulnerable, and you're still a man. You're still my man. You're still the head of this household. You're still strong. Even it's all right, it's okay, don't worry, and I'm gonna build you back up. So there's that vulnerability piece, and that safe space is missing for a lot of people.
And here's where I get really mad about the history of us as a people, listening to conversation like this, because it is very clear to me that a lot of what we experience now have been experiencing, this is 2024 right now, I am so very clearly right now hearing the legacy of slavery.
Systemic.
The legacy of slavery.
Yep.
And what that did to us relationally and how we relate to each other.
How we communicate with one another.
Specifically how black men and black women relate to each other. And it is this umbrella that we live under. We are all living this experience tainted by this horrible, unimaginable legacy that we have. And to me, it shows up every day. And not just what we experience individually, but as we experience relationally. So that's what I think about when I hear this. But thank you all for sharing that.
One of the things I just want to caution people, these gentlemen are not saying that they want to be prioritized or take up more or disproportionate space. They're saying they want a piece of space. A lot of times, it's kind of like the conversation about racism, right? Where when black people say we want equality, white people here, they're trying to take our power. We're like, no, that's not what we're saying. But in this particular context, men are not saying, women, we're tired of being your protector, your provider, and all of this. They're not saying that. They're saying, hey, we can do all of that, but it's better when we're supported, when we're bolstered, give us grace, when we have space, when we have a moment to breathe and have some peace. And so, I just, because I can already see the comments on the episode.
Oh, for sure.
Which is, they didn't say nothing to stick up for black women and they burdens. And
well,
they
and
didn't
here's
say,
the thing. Let me also jump in and say, like...
I had a thought about that.
Yeah. Well, and you're right. And I do think that some people are going to have their reaction when they hear this. But I was very consciously sitting here deciding to give them the space to talk. We asked them a question about something from their perspectives. And while there are things that they said that, maybe I have a different perspective on it, or, maybe there's something that maybe they haven't considered from my perspective. I didn't ask them to speak from my perspective. I asked them to speak from their perspectives. And so I was very intentionally quiet in this moment because I wanted to hear what they had to say.
It's funny when you stop talking to each other. Like, when, to your point, if you know your audience and you know who's going to respond in what way. And it's interesting. It's like, why is that your reaction? Well, you ain't say nothing about black women. Well, okay, this is not that.
That wasn't the
this
subject
is
at this
right.
point.
But also, like, you can't see, but we all black, right? So I wouldn't be here in no shape, form, or fashion without my black women.
And then also, we're going to think differently. You live life from a perspective of a black woman and a woman in general. I don't want to, be specific. A woman in general.
Intersectionality at play.
You live life as a woman. I live life as a man. There's going to be things I don't understand, and let's have a conversation. And you have a conversation with me about things that you don't understand. It's not a us and them. It's not a, them and us. Like, it's a battle. It's like, no, let me sit down. Let me talk to you for a little bit. I'm going to give you my perspective. Listen, I have sisters, I have cousins and female friends that I learned a lot. I shut up when I get in those, because I'm like, all right, cool. I'm getting the 411.
Cheat codes.
You know what I'm saying? Cheat codes, yes.
They see the
but
world
also
in a way that you don't.
And that's, they say men are from Mars. You talked about that last time. Women are from Venus. If you speak Venusian, you are, listen, you in the game. Because you're able to understand that logic.
Venusian.
And vice versa, of just like being able to understand how men think. So I think that there is I wish that we bridge the gap a little bit more with that.
Yeah, I think just to kind of piggyback on that, I think the clutch part about everything that he's saying is everybody has to be willing to, excuse my French, shut the fuck up and actually receive what's being told to you. I mean, that's men too, right? Like, I've had to learn to just, get out your emotion, get out your feelings.
Thank you.
The thing I've always had to try to explain to people is, like, when I'm emotional and I'm trying to receive what you're saying, I'm not gonna snap back right away. Otherwise, there's no telling what's gonna come out my mouth, and then we just gonna be in a fight. A lot of women that I deal with tend to want you to be able to have a response ASAP, and I'm like, yo, I need to be able to process what's being said, what's being delivered to me, so that I can really make sure I feel strongly about how I'm gonna respond, or whether or not I feel like you're 100% in the right. So I think everybody just needs to be able to sit back, chill, talk about it in a calm manner, and understand how each other communicates.
I think that you're right. I mean, I'd like to pat myself on the back sometimes and saying I communicate for a living, both on stage, on set, but also in some of my side jobs that I do when I'm not working on an acting contract. So being able to listen is a skill that has to be developed for a lot of people. It does not come naturally. Being able to listen, and then not just be quiet, but actually check in about whether or not you actually comprehended what that person. That's something I even took from my work that I do in my personal life sometimes, which is like if someone says something to me, you might hear me say, okay, so what I just heard was blah, blah, blah. This is what it sounded to me like you just said. Is that right? And like checking in about that. But I do think that you're right that not enough of us do that. And we are wired differently. To your point, Lorenzo, we think differently. We see the world differently. We're processing things differently. We're just different. You know, Holly, it's time for another refill for Holly.
No more refills.
But because we are different,
right.
There's things you'll never know. There's things I'll never know.
Right.
Which is why we gonna open it up a little bit for you right now and give you some insight into some things that you don't know that you might want to know. Not just about black women, but these two sitting here right here in particular.
I have to give a disclaimer.
Her heart rate just really went up, y'all.
My heart rate just went up.
Good.
And I am a cocktail and a half in.
Even better.
So I'm gonna give a content warning and a parent warning.
And I'm gonna say to you what I've said to you many times when I've had brilliant ideas for fun things that we've done. But did you die? This too shall pass, my friend.
It shall.
And you gonna make it.
So fellas, we're gonna open it up.
Do you have anything you want to ask us?
Treat yourself, brother.
So here's my question, each of y'all. The number one thing that you wish men knew when either approaching you and dating you.
I'm not her.
Oh.
I'm not her. Time immemorial, guys approach me assuming that I operate and that I function and that I will approach relationship like every other woman that they have been in relationship with in some form or fashion. That leads to a lot of assumptions. That leads to a lot of misunderstandings. And we were just talking about communication. When they already come with preconceived notions. And so there is literally nothing I can do or say as my authentic self to combat that. And so I find myself telling, especially when I start getting into contentious situations with gentlemen, hey, I'm not her. Whoever hurt you, whoever jacked you up, whoever made you approach me in this form and fashion, I'm not her. Give me an opportunity to show you who I am, because I always know that it's more about the action than it is the word too. Let me show you who I am. Give me that opportunity and then make your decision.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it depends on the context in which someone meets me too, right? But there are always assumptions that are made. And I think we as human beings have a tendency to see things through the lens of our experience, right? And so one thing that grinds my gears when I'm talking to somebody, especially if it's someone that I don't know, is when I hear things like, y'all always so-and-so.
Don't y'all me.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is y'all?
For real. Because I just met you 5 minutes ago,
Joy.
so who you talking about? Like, you don't even know me. And so, like, And then what do we like to say in response to that? When they say, oh, y'all always so-and-so, 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 excuse the language, but one of Holly's favorite things to say is, that's the women you fuck with. Like, that's not all women. Like, that's who you've had in your experience.
100%.
And so it's...
I don't want to ask no questions.
He like, I'm backing out right now.
Just like, I love everybody.
They're hostile.
No, but it's real. I just think it's... I do think that, you know, I'm trying to find a different way to say something similar, but I think you really hit it on the head for me too. I think the other thing is that, I have a different one. I wish that there were more people who were open to learning and understanding who I am as a person, but especially as a professional and what I do in the line of work that I've chosen, without projecting all of their stereotypes and preconceived notions about what an actress is. And insecurities, what an actress is, who she is, how she functions, how she moves through life. Being open to really experience what that is with me without being, I do find that, like, there's a level of fear there when I encounter men, and there's a, you know, I don't really know what that's about, but I do wish that many of them took the chance and the time to get to know me as a person outside of my work, to see what that really looks like and is on me, what it's like to be with Melanie, who also happens to be an actor, but not
is actually a person.
And also admitting that you don't know. Like, I meet a lot of guys who've never met someone who's a professional actor, but they still act like they know everything about the industry. Being willing to operate from a place of, like, yo, I don't know what that's like. What is that like, before you start jumping to conclusions and, you know, all of that about it. So that's what I would say. All right, so who we got? We got questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Being the current representation of the woman race in the room.
Oh God, the weight! I said the weight on my back.
I'm interested to know, why is it that certain women, not all, certain women can't really take responsibility for the part that they play and the way that relationships go, or what they allow and what they don't allow, and being able to kind of man up, so to speak, about, I'm not finna, it's not my, I came into this how I came into this, and now all of a sudden you got an attitude about it. Why all of a sudden is it my problem that you knew who I was coming into this? Or, and it's a lot of the question is, why is it that women fail to want to take responsibility for their own part that they play?
And I'm backing up from the mic.
Before you answer this question,
oh, you answering it too? What are you talking about?
Period.
maybe. Before you answer this question, I am now saying that we have to commit to a visual portion of this podcast in the near future, because the way that Manny sipped his drink and the way that Miji was looking for an exit to the room when, as Lorenzo was asking this question, was nothing short.
Also, I look just how I sound.
Of pure comedy, and I love the shameless plug as well. Listen, so let me tell you something. One thing that is typically said about Melanie and I is that we don't know any ugly people. So yes, we have 3 fine ass men in the room right now. So you know, if you want to do your own stalking, go right ahead.
I don't condone that though.
I do.
Y'all
But-
already.
But Melanie, I'm gonna let you take a crack at the question.
So the question, look, I told you I do this. So what I just heard as the question.
She pulling her hair back and everything. I'm finna get it.
No. I'm not. Like, you want to know, why is it that women fail if something goes wrong in a relationship, or there's a problem or whatever?
Not even if something goes wrong. Just like you're not taking accountability for your part. Like, I am who I am coming into this, and you allowed me to be this way. You allowed
Are you
things
speaking
to
as
go.
the woman when you
I'm
said
speaking
that?
as the man.
Okay.
And you allowed me to be this way. You allowed things to go down because of what you okayed at the beginning for whatever reason. You like the way
okay, I got you.
You like the way that this was going. Now all of a sudden it's
now
a
all of a
problem.
sudden you got a problem.
And then there are certain women who get upset with men who like, well, why don't you show up this way, or why don't you show up this way, or why isn't the relationship going like this? When it's like, that's not what I want. I never said I wanted that, and why should I have to give 100% when you'll take 20 and I'll get out everything anyway?
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I think I understand what you're saying. You're talking about lack of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about
but making me the problem.
Right.
Easy. That's so easy. That's a card that is played so often to make the man the problem, and because that's the narrative in society so much that's an easier pill to swallow.
Yeah. Nah. I mean, if you're asking why women do that, I think it would have to go back to their view of themselves.
I thought you was about to say slavery. I'm like, no.
That can't be the answer for everything, huh? No, I mean, I just think if you're talking about a character trait. Because to me, what I hear, you're talking about a character trait. Because if that person is functioning like that and has trouble recognizing their contribution to things in relationship with you, I would venture to say that they do that in other areas of life as well. Maybe at work, maybe there's a lack of accountability, a lack of ownership at work. Maybe that shows up in their other non-romantic relationships. So to me, I think it boils down. That's a character trait, and where that came from, this need to not be wrong. We were just having this conversation. Holly and I were just having this conversation about an experience that we had with someone. Like, why can't you admit you'll say everything except, damn, you right. Like you found all kind of euphemisms, and will straight up go nonverbal before you'll actually be like,
yeah, I messed up, but you not the butt
right,
though.
Right. And I
just
think
leave it right there.
I think it's a defense mechanism. I think that
you don't want to be wrong. You don't want
to look in the mirror. You don't want to be guilty. You don't want to have to look in the mirror and deal with the fact that what I'm experiencing is partially a result of what I did, and having to sit with that, I think, takes real maturity. I think it takes emotional maturity. I think it takes courage. I think it takes security in who you are as a person and how you view yourself. And if those things are not there, you not finna tell me what I did wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't do anything wrong. It's always something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. And so I think that it's a character trait, and I think it's a developmental thing, honestly.
So to answer the question, I'm gonna say unhealed and not doing the work. I think that it does take a modicum of self-awareness, maturity, and accountability to say, you know what, I played a part in this. So even, I'll give you a situation for the sake of super producer Lewis. I'll give you a situation where cheating is involved, right? A lot of times women focus on, he went out and he cheated and he was wrong. Hook, line, and sinker. But if we're being honest with ourselves, every woman who is a victim of cheating should ask herself, how did I contribute to this? Now,
or did I?
Because that
could just be him.
It could just be him.
Seriously.
However,
that's why I said, did I?
However, did I? Because sometimes the answer could be, nah, I didn't do that. That was something he went out and did because he's just a selfish mug. Like for me, I will say I recognized that my culpability in the demise of my marriage was not effectively communicating how I felt in the moment. I take responsibility for that. But I also recognize that the solution to that was for me to disconnect and divorce, right? That was the impetus that led to the dissolution of my marriage. But upon reflection, I asked myself, Holly, is there anything you would have done differently? And I recognized that I held my tongue because I thought that that's what a good wife should do. I held my tongue
On small things.
On small things that really amounted to large things. So if you're not in a space where you're not willing to take even a small amount of responsibility, because ultimately the cheating I had nothing to do with, right? Like, he stuck his penis in another person.
Oh, wow.
And like,
Oh my God.
What if it had
Is that how it
nothing
works?
to do with you, right?
here's the thing.
Like, what if you did everything perfect in your eyes and his eyes, and he still did it, right? And this is his cocaine or his heroin or his alcohol.
So then that becomes
like,
that becomes a decision of whether or not I want to accept him for who he is and deal with that, or if I want to disconnect. And I made the personal decision to disconnect. Now, did I go ham in the divorce? Absolutely not. Because I recognize that it was a season. Like, you know, we talk, like, people are clowning Monique for calling her husband daddy and thanking him for turning her into the woman that she is today. But I thank my ex-husband. I grew a lot in that 8-year relationship that I was with him. And I grew in ways that I know would not have happened were it not for my relationship with him. And I thank him for that. But I also recognize when the season was over, when the leaves fell off the tree, and I raked them up in a divorce, put them in a bag, and threw them away.
Yeah, I think also to your point, Manny, that's why I jumped in and said, did I have anything? I'm a little bit different from Holly in the sense that my first question would be, did I have a hand in this? And if I decide that the answer is probably yes to some degree, then I'm going to start digging and trying to figure out how I had. But I do recognize the possibility of what you're saying, which is that sometimes it didn't have anything to do with the other person. The other person was not culpable in any way. That's something that person decided to do in the context of this relationship. And honestly, I think that whatever contribution that an individual, man, woman, whoever, has had to the dynamic in a relationship, that's one thing, right? What you decide to do in response to that dynamic is a different thing. In other words, I can take responsibility for creating a dysfunctional dynamic, whatever contribution I made to creating a dysfunctional dynamic between us as partners. Maybe I didn't open my mouth when I should have, or I let little stuff slide that actually became big stuff, or whatever. But I separate the two. Actually, not that they're not connected. I'm not saying that they're not connected. But what I'm saying is I can take responsibility for how I contributed to the dynamic in our relationship. What I can't take responsibility for is how someone else decided to respond to that dynamic. And if how you decided to respond to the dynamic was by, in this case that we're talking about, cheating, that's yours to own, because you had a choice about how you were going to respond to the dynamic. We all have a choice about how we're going to respond. And so I don't take responsibility for someone else's actions.
Right.
I take responsibility for my own, and like how maybe I created a dysfunctional dynamic. But you had a choice about what you were going to do with that.
I mean, it's also how that dysfunctional dynamic manifests, right? Because, you know, we talk about cheating, right? And it's just like, I always make the comment of like, yeah, okay, we can figure that out in therapy, but if you ran up $100,000 in credit card debt, like,
That's
For
a value.
real.
That's a value
fuck
question.
whoever
now.
you want to do, but don't
Don't
fuck
my
credit.
credit.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
No, for
I gotta do
real.
That's
all
a
kind of
value
strange
question.
stuff to get that money back.
Yeah.
And I ain't do that.
Did
right?
he say strange stuff?
Strange things
Not even-
change.
but once again, like, go out and the majority population in this country, go work for them and be
Right.
a black person working for these people.
Right.
Like, to go make this $100K that I didn't even know about. You know what I mean? So, right, it's just one of them things of like, there may be a demon there, and it may manifest in cheating, or it may manifest in a heroin addiction, and it's like, oh, like, are you gonna take responsibility for that?
Nope.
I did something. No. So once again, if you went out and did that particular thing, it's just like, yo, whatever your stressor is, it manifested in that way.
All right, I think we got time for one last question.
I got a question.
Yeah, okay. It's your turn. It's your turn.
At the end, it made me think about a thing, right? Right message, wrong messenger, right?
Okay,
right?
okay.
There's just some stuff, right, that needs to be said to you, but shouldn't be said from your partner, right? Or you can't receive the information from
I know
your
where
partner,
this is going,
right?
and
So
I don't even know.
I want to ask, right?
Okay.
In an intimate relationship, what is the situation where you had where it was the right message but wrong messenger?
That's a good question. Oh, let me
right
think.
message, wrong messenger in a relationship.
One thing, okay, I'm trying to dig in the crates for something juicy and good, but the first thing that's coming to my mind is that I had an ex-boyfriend one time. I would talk to him about things that were happening to me out in the world when I was having encounters with other people or whatever, and my frustration about like these other people and all the messed up stuff that I thought they were doing and they were doing wrong, or whatever. And it sounded very simple, but I realized later that it was just kind of poignant thing that he just used to kind of like shrug his shoulders and like almost smile or smirk a little bit, and he would be like, everybody ain't like you. Like, and what he would do, and it sounded like too simple a response to me at the time. Like, at the time, it sounded like too simple of a response for this very complex, like, problem and situation and scenario that I had just recounted. And it was just what he was really saying that I realized later was just like, you're frustrated because you go out into the world with an expectation that everybody thinks about things the way that you do, that they share your same values, they share your same ethics, they share your same morals, they share your same commitments to these things, and you continue to get frustrated with people because you have yet to swallow the fact that everybody ain't like you. That's what he was really saying. And if someone else had said it to me, maybe I would have responded differently. And I never like got mad that he said it, but I just felt so unsatisfied with his response, like, and so unfulfilled. I was like, that's all you gotta say? Everybody ain't like me. Oh, clearly everybody's not like me. What else we got? So like, that's my one story about that.
I'm such a harbinger of truth. Harbinger.
Sorry, I can't help you this time.
Yeah, harbinger. I'm such a harbinger of truth that, and I'm so self-deprecating. These cocktails are amazing.
I'm gonna stop serving drinks on the podcast because I'm the only one that can still.
Drink champs. Yeah, I'm stuttering. What is it? Shout out to Noriega. Yeah, shout out to Noriega.
You said you're trying to say self-deprecating.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I trend towards self-deprecating, and so if somebody has some criticism or something to offer, then
let me flip it this way.
Okay.
What have you shared with the intimate partner, right? That it was something that they needed to hear, but you probably shouldn't have been the person to share it with.
Oh, I told an ex that his breath stank.
That's as bad as it got.
That was gonna be the example that
she hit it right on the head.
Your breath don't.
I was expecting something a little more juicy
Well,
than that.
but I'm also trying not to piss off super producer Lou.
You mentioned him earlier about the cheating thing too, and I want you to clarify that. What did he have to do with that?
So Lewis, he's like, you talk about your divorce a lot. But
okay.
It's the most recent experience that I've had relationally, that the most recent negative experience, I will say, that I've had relationally. And so I will actually share how my ex-husband was forced to admit that he had been cheating, right? So I am slightly liberal. And for like 3 or 4 years, our sex life had been trash. Unmitigated trash. And
Sips bourbon.
I know where this is going.
And so I, trying to be a woman of the 2020s, was like, okay, listen, because he had shared with me that, you know, one of the reasons why our sex life was trash was that he felt that he couldn't please me, which I don't know where he got that from. I am now inclined to believe that that was bullshit, but neither here nor there, if that's his truth. So I was operating under the assumption that he felt that he was inadequate in some form, shape, or fashion. I went out of town for a few days, and I called him when I was in the airport getting ready to leave Chicago. And I said, whatever you have to do with whomever you have to do it, do that while I'm gone, because when I come back home, I want my husband. And so whatever you need to do to get out of your head and get your mind right, I want my husband.
In this here bedroom.
In this here bedroom. Ready to service his wife when I get back home. And it turned into a whole thing of, well, what made you say this? And blah, 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 blah. And then after some kind of suspect conversations, a couple months of suspect conversations, he finally admitted that a woman that he had billed to me as a female friend was actually his mistress and had been his mistress for 3 years, but we'd only been married for 2. So I had waited 3 to 4 years to say, I'm not happy with our sex life. So, yeah. Does that answer the question?
And then some, right?
I'm new to the Holly. So, when somebody be like, oh, somebody cheated on me or whatever it is, right? And I'm not saying it's not serious. I was like, okay, but there's a backstory there, right? And it's just like, you know, in my mind, it's like one night somebody made a mistake, and like, you know, like, oh, you throw everything away.
No.
That wasn't that. Damn.
Right,
So yeah,
right.
but by and large, you know, Melanie knows this, and I think she actually does not like this about me. I will try to work a thing 50 different ways before I say, okay, this person is just trash. Right? Like,
she's nicer than I am. It's basically
like,
what it is.
I've dated, or I have friends that would like fix it, right? So it's just like,
yes,
in order
100%.
for me to be able to put this thing aside, I gotta try every angle.
100%.
If it's 50 angles, I try 25. I might spin the block.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, that's me.
I mean, if you talk to enough people who've been married for a long time, that's their whole MO. They're just like, oh, you got to put your all into it. You got to be willing to not walk away from it once it gets rough. So, I mean,
I think that's different though.
It.
I think that I think it's a little nuanced. That like, I think that what she's saying about giving it the old college try for the 50th time is a little bit different than summoning whatever you need to summon to try to make your marriage work. I think the threshold can change. I think, to me, it depends on the level of commitment that we're talking about. I think there are people who successfully stay married who don't do this.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
No, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that it took me a while to figure out about me is like, unfortunately, this was a toxic trait. But in order for somebody to really make me feel like I was valued, wanted, loved, they had to fight for that, right? And it was one of them things, like, again, because I didn't make things easy, but it deals with some things from the past. But it is one of them things where it's like, if you're not fighting for this the way that I would, then why? Then I don't feel like I'm valued. I don't feel like you really want to be with me. And so for me, like, I can relate to that. And this goes back to everything that I've ever said, is everybody's going to have a different view or different way that they approach it. And I think you guys hit on it earlier where you were saying that when people don't think like you or move like you, then you get frustrated. And we've got to be understanding that, like, even if we in this relationship with this person, like, there's gonna come a point where they gonna do something way different than what I was expecting. And what I'm saying is, you gotta be willing to really push and try to figure out why that is.
Oh, absolutely.
Before cutting the cord.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say, brother, if nobody ever told you, you've worked through some shit. That is in the take, right? If you can be like, yo, let me tell you far out in advance some of the fuck shit that I used to do, and why I've evolved, like.
Applause.
Toxic masculinity has no place here.
That's good.
Yeah, wild ride, man. I
Really?
used to be like, oh, you gonna dip? Cool, I don't need you. Bye.
Right.
Find somebody else.
Right.
Growth.
Growth. No, seriously.
You know what we call that? Growth.
Call that growth.
I have a thing about black men don't get the opportunity to grow up, right?
100%.
And I don't know actually what this song was about, but Nas has a song called Second Childhood. And like, I had to be a grown up a long time ago. So I'm in my second childhood.
Yes.
And like, so many black men get locked up early or whatever it is. And just looking at like somebody like Jay-Z who sold crack in his community, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just got a chance to evolve, right? In a way that black men don't get an opportunity to grow up, right? So just like growth in a real way, but like let black men grow up, right? Because if you don't lock them up or whatever it is, like, once again, give us an opportunity to let our prefrontal cortexes fully develop, right?
You better get neurological, sir.
Fully developed, right?
Come on.
Right? The data shows like you recidivize far less once you in your like late 20s, early 30s, or whatever it is, right? Also, you ain't hiring young black men.
Oh.
In any society,
It's a
any
very
population,
complex problem. Yeah.
any revolution that happened, you look at unemployment of 16 to 24-year-olds, they ain't got nothing to do, so they overthrowing the government,
Systemic.
right? But all that being said, yo, bro, like, I love to hear black men who've grown up.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You know what? That is an excellent note to close on.
That's sweet. We're
That
going to
is
end
so
with something
sweet.
sweet. We're gonna
That
end
is so
with,
sweet.
with
Because
growth.
listen, the conversation has been hot.
It has. The
Okay.
conversation, we've taken a lot of turns.
Twists.
We had laughs. We got into some real stuff.
Right.
And we've had our very special guest here. And we couldn't have done it without you. So thank you for taking the time. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for being open to showing up, not just physically, but also
Vulnerably.
vulnerably, and being willing to share your experience. I'm honored that you felt comfortable doing that in our space and on our platform. So I don't take that lightly. I want to say thank you for that. And
You are always welcome here at Dipped and Sweet and Hot.
because we had fun too, right? We had some
Listen.
drinks. We had some laughs.
Our resident bartender, Miss Melanie Lauren.
If I do say so
Look,
myself.
we got a business.
Pop bottles and podcasts.
That's good. Don't y'all go try to take that from me.
Trademark.
That's my thing.
Don't be shocked if I just show up one day and be like, I'm crashing this joint.
All right,
You are
okay.
always
The
welcome.
door is open.
You are always welcome. So with that, I would love to give a special thank you to Lorenzo Rush,
Yep.
to Olamiji Jones, and to Mr. Emmanuel Johnson II. Thank you for being here, for being such great sports.
I just want to say welcome to season 2, Black Love with the Sweet and Hot. I am Melanie Lauren.
I'm Holly Chanel. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.